Okay, let's move on to the next box of crap here. Bought this time. Yeah, there's who I bought it from. If you bought any of these guys, you'd recognize the names. That knife didn't poke very well, did it? Yeah, not that sharp in the front, I guess. Well, probably something I'm hitting. Okay, more crap. Yeah, that's why I'm hitting junk on the inside of the box. This stuff stops knives. What do we got in here? Oh, brakes. I like that. This must be the brake deal. Look at that. That's nice. So that is a Springer front brake assembly for a Big Twin. It was loaded too. It tried to get me. A rat trap on the other side. Yeah. Boom. So here's a front brake cam. And the correct springs on this one, unlike that last videos we did in the 45 stuff. So Big Twin shoes are made different. They're stamped, they're not cast. So the earliest stuff was cast. The 30s was cast, the 40s is stamped steel. They're made cheaper. So this is what it looks like when it's all put together. These were the 45 shoes. These are cast. Here's a 45 rear cam. So you see how the front cam's a little narrower, like I talked to you, it's narrower. See how much fatter this one is? It's a little bit taller. So that goes on there. And obviously these shoes are a lot lighter. They don't be real thick. But you see the things are about the same width, same diameters. Same diameter shoes, same width shoes, but these are cast steel and these are stamped. So the stamped ones were, I'm not sure what year they changed, but probably by 39 they went to stamp. I don't know, maybe 40 at the latest, but they were stamped after that. The first ones were like this. 30 stuff is usually like this. So there you go. So this has the 4 levers on it. You see how this one's out here on the sidecar, one way out here on the outer edge. This is the clevis that goes in there, and the nut on here is how the cable goes through it. Pretty unique design. Expensive to make, that's why they quit making it this way. Tripod's hard to work. So the cable went through here. Oh, this is an early one too. So this is got a big hole through it, which makes it 40 and earlier. 41, they have threads in here. They were 5/16 coarse thread in there. So these ones here had a sleeved nut thing that the cable went into the sleeve nut, and then that went in there, and they had a nut that held it. It's complicated as hell, so that's why I didn't do it that way later on. So anyway, the inner cable goes through here. It winds through the hole in here, makes a turn, and comes back out. So it makes a loop, and then this goes over the loop and tightens it all down. And this bottoms out on a taper on the inside of the nut and locks it all in there. So, see how the cable's right here. And the cable will be higher than what the top of the clevis cutaway is right there. So you can see how that's made. And the nut has a taper on the inside of it. So that's how they work. Works very well. Very easy to take on and off, change out. Very simple design. Works very well. Just expensive to make. That's why I don't do it that way. And this one's actually bent a little bit. I've never seen one bent before, but I guess you can wear anything out. So you got 4 different holes. You got the solo here, sidecar here, and you got 2 other ones to choose from. So this is all your 40 and earlier style stuff, 39 earlier, whatever you want to call it. Depends. But, so this is an early one because it has that cable. The real early stuff, there was no adjustment on the pivot. That's where the pivot goes in. So if you get back to VL stuff in 36 and earlier, these are fixed pivot. There's no pivot. I think the pivot came out in 38. And so your first 36 and 37 knuckles had fixed pivot backing plates, and 36 is supposed to be by itself. It's a smaller diameter and stuff too, I think. These early ones had stamped steel brake drums like the rear drum is. And then they went to the casted one in 41, I think. It's either 40 or 41 they went cast. That might be when they changed the shoes too. So they made everything stronger. So yeah, that's just a nice unit. This was expensive, I remember buying it. It was not cheap. It was missing, they took off the link that was on here for the strap that held it. So this is on the top, this is the bottom. So you had a link that went here to your Springer front end. This goes through the rockers here. It's a spring-loaded design right here. And there's a sleeve, inner sleeve here. This goes into your hub, your star hub. And then this here goes around the rocker. The spring is what it does. It keeps tension on this because there's a bushing. This is actually free floating. So that when this rocker goes up and down, it pivots on the shaft and axle do not rotate. They stay fixed. The backing plate pivots on the sleeve. That's called a sleeve, the centerpiece. And the torque arm up here holds it, and it's on its own angle also. So all of these things rotate back and forth at different angles. That's why they have to be all pivoting. So this one here comes off. So this is all the stock stuff on here. Your spring doesn't want to come off. There it goes. So there's your spring. Oh, it's got the cork in here still. Good. Here's the cork seal. That's supposed to keep the grease inside of the drum there. So that goes over top of that. The washer right here actually goes up against all of this. Pulls in tight against that. It wears. This is heat treated. It wears against that. So that goes in like that. And the spring, right, that big spring goes in that little gap just down there. That's what holds it all together. So the rocker arm goes in there, the nut goes on it, and the nut has a shoulder on it that sticks out. That's why you see that shiny spot. The outer nut is curve shaped. It's got a little chamfer on the outside of the nut. This one here does not have that chamfer, it's cut square. That's how you tell the inside and outside of a nut, in case you never noticed. Oop. Just trying to get away. It didn't go far. It went far enough though. And these are Harley thread. They're really fine thread and oddball. Like most of the stuff that's like this, the Harley stuff matches itself, but aftermarket usually doesn't match. It's a different angle, even though it's the same pitch, which is threads per inch. See how loose this thing is? There's something wrong. The helix angle, which is actually the angle the thread's at, changes. Nobody ever talks about it, but it's real world. It's different. So, and this one here, this nut's really, really loose on here. See how loose that is? So something's not right. It's either mismatched components or this thing's partially stripped apart. I'm not sure which one it is, but there's something wrong with that. But anyway, there you go. It's got a Zerk fitting right here to lubricate the bushing. This here's a drain thing, so if you put too much, it pops out the bottom because you don't want all the grease going on the inside, even though this does fill up full of grease in here. It won't get on the brake shoes if you overlube it. That's why it's kind of all greasy looking. It's been overlubed. And it'll flex up and rub on the inside of the drum as this one is, if they get too close. So there you go. It's a nice unit. This is pretty straight. You want to make sure these are perpendicular, not angled. They get bent this way. As you pull on this, it puts leverage on the shoe and it cocks it. Now, if these get bent, I got a shaft I made that goes inside of here. You take all this out, and another one that holds the backing plate on the vise. So basically you have a vise right here with a stub shaft that sticks out here that holds it. And then I put another shaft. So you got a stub sticking up here. Oops. So you got a piece of metal like this, it's the correct size. This goes over it, which holds the backing plate. This is too big for this right now. So it'd be like that, would hold it. And then I have a shaft that goes inside of here, and then I bend it. And you can actually bend the backing plate straight. And the same thing down here on the pivot area, you can straighten it, and if this torque tube gets bent, which is rare, but it does happen, you can bend it straight too. But this bent is always bent down here. And you can do that. These are actually kind of riveted together in here, or lightly welded. It'll actually crack the weld in here a little bit, so you pin it back flat or put in a press and you re-weld it on the outside, and it welds it back on, because this piece here is not quite, it's riveted to the backing plate or lightly welded on the other side. It's pretty much just riveted. So as you bend it back and forth, it will loosen up. But these are all tricks you do, but this one looks straight. The backing plate's not making a wave through here, you know, uneven like that, so it's a straight one. So it's a good backing plate. So this is a pretty nice unit. Like I said, it's going to be you know, it's probably 38, 39, and maybe 40. So it's definitely a good piece. Expensive, but good. There you go, big twin parts. All right, I gotta clean my hands now. We'll be back.